on the intros, is that okay? Fantastic job, ain't it? You bring the brains, I bring the voice. Yeah, I bring the brains. Actually, I spent 6 months practicing the telecast and I've never really got those habits. So, those habits will follow me to my end of days, I swear. Yeah, I know, right? Sorry. Better. Boom. I'm LCS ready. Oh, sorry, I'm OPL ready. Actually, never mind. I'm Thompson ready. Oh no, wait a minute. I'm LPL ready, yeah. Dude, I'm so sad that you guys are leaving because that would have been amazing in the series. Bring water. Make sure you don't bump into the one bottle that's being unlocked. It's going to be on the cabinet at the time. You don't bump into it. Like, water goes everywhere. Oh, red one, just make sure you don't bump into it. Because I don't like having to hit bottles and stuff because it makes me scrap. I'm not used to it. So just make sure no one bumps into it. What's up, boy?
Like a fist bump, like a palm bump. Yeah. It's like a more intimate fist bump. Yeah, as much human contact as possible.
Let's go, Trans. I'm sorry, that's not true. That was just straight up the end. Yeah, maybe. You make me look pretty.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a lot more than quick makeup for that.
It's meant to be MHS on this side, but it's red side. So MHS on this side. And then Baroque, and then it's red. you kidding me? I like the size that I am. I don't think it's wrong. Hell yeah, dude. That look good? Yeah, they're in Pigman. They're in LCS order. Hello everybody and welcome to the Regional Grand Finals of the League of Legends Meta in Victoria, live at Torrens University. My name is Ewan Midnight Reed. I'm joined by Brunana, and we have ourselves a hell of a grand final here. Reservoir High School and Melbourne High School duking it out for the top slot.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really exciting best of 5 that we've got ahead of us today. We're all packed in here ready to go. We've got a great crowd here that's really excited to see everyone get into this. And it's been a really interesting road for both of these teams to get here, so we're really excited to get into it.
And of course, the road doesn't end. For the winner of this team, remember, will have to fight the top teams of the other regions, and eventually it culminates in a grand final at Rod Laver Arena for the MEO later this year. So a lot on the line for the team that wins, but they still need to prove themselves should they win. But we'll be very excited to see how that goes. We will be getting into the first game of this best of 5 series very shortly. And you've got to look at the route that both of these teams took to get here. Melbourne High School from week 1 have been dominant, but Reservoir are not going to go down without a fight as we are into the first pick and ban of game number 1.
All right, so what are we expecting to see here in the pick and ban? Do you think we're going to see a lot of the meta picks, or what are we looking at?
What I'm hoping to see is a lot of meta bans. What we see when it comes to non-competitive or not professional level League of Legends, it comes to remove the things that are super strong, and then you go on to playing comfort. I really want to see the players, what comfort picks they've got available left to them, what champions that they like playing, what champions don't they like playing, what they don't like playing against. So hopefully we'll have that on stream very shortly. But so far, what we can tell you from the bans, we've seen Corky Jinx being banned by Melbourne High School, and Reservoir High School have taken away the Urgot and the Hecarim as well. So a lot of top tier picks. The one that I raise is maybe the Jinx, not highest tier priority, but obviously a comfort pick.
Yeah, I think the comfort picks is a very interesting point to pull up here. As you said, when they're not playing professionally and they're not practicing all day, every day, their champion pools aren't as diverse and aren't as deep as what you'd expect from the professionals.
There we go, we have it up on stream. So as you said, we see the Xayah, the fun other takeaway coming out of Varrock, and it makes a lot of sense. Homeostasis in I think it was week 5 or week 6, he got a pentakill on the Kai'Sa, which ironically gets banned away.
Banned away his Kai'Sa right there. That's mind games.
You keep the secret weapon in your back pocket, and then you pull it out in game 5 when you really need to. But the question is, Varrock, what do they take? There's still a lot of powerful picks. Akali, I was going to say Hecarim, not, but the Vayne for Harley, not what I was expecting.
I think this is pulling back to the comfort picks of each individual player. Rather than trying to pick a purely meta composition, they're going for what they play well and what's not horrible. Vayne's not horrible in the meta.
It's not horrible, but Melbourne High School, look, there we go. But say they play Tarek Sona now. As you can hear from the audience, a hell of a reaction, but this is on 9.12. Tarek Sona still works as always, so it is super annoying to deal with, and Vayne is going to struggle because she hasn't got a lot of range, hasn't got a lot of damage to back it up, in the early game at least.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't have the burst to deal with just the constant sustain that Sona and Tarek both bring. They both got shields and heals, and Vayne doesn't have that burst early on, so that's going to be a very rough lane for Vayne to deal with.
I tell you who can deal with that, a harassment champion like the Vel'Koz. This is more than likely going to Zordon in the bottom lane. I'd be amazed if you blind pick a Vel'Koz this early into the draft like that, and the answer is going to be the Neeko. Now the question becomes, is this AD on hit Neeko in top? Is this AP Neeko in mid? Is this chat pulling out Neeko support and like we end up Tarek mid somewhere? Because I've seen it before. I've seen crazier.
I've even seen Neeko jungle. Especially on patch 9.12. Neeko's a really versatile pick. She's like what Karma is as well. They can play absolutely anywhere on the map. So it's a good pick to put in there. They can flex it between Sherlock or Bans in the top of the mid lane. So it's a really smart move for them to put there. They haven't blind picked something. They've still got the opportunity there that they can have two counter picks.
And we have to see where they do end up throwing it. Karma, I'm a little surprised she hasn't been picked in the first round. I'm expecting her to get banned again. This is 9.12 Karma. She is insane right now. So hoping to get it taken away. But so far we have the Tahm Kench, a Terra in the top lane right now. Lord forbid, and Renekton as the answer. Top lane is their champion pool getting squeezed down a little bit, but again, Akali is still available. The Aatrox is still available. I see a Nasus ban and I feel personally attacked at this point. Like, literally, I play Nasus and that is it. So, I like it being taken away, but I feel like it's a personal attack, but it's still a very good champion to get rid of.
Yeah, well, they're definitely targeting the top lane there. They're assuming that the Neeko is not going top lane. They've banned away a lot of again, Tahm Kench is very strong in the top lane back in 9.12. And the Sejuani, that's a very good meta ban. And that's probably the first good meta ban that we've seen really
and it's
here.
The jungle pool getting squeezed. And I've always said when it comes to Season 9, the more aggressive a jungler you can... Okay, come back to that in a second. Yasuo locked in. It could be mid, it could be top. I actually don't know where the Yasuo is going, but my concern is a lack of knockups already. The last champion, the jungler, has to have a lot of knockups in his kit. Otherwise, Yasuo feels kind of redundant in a way.
You'd have to think this is going to be the Neeko top lane and the Yasuo mid lane. Yasuo does sometimes struggle with the longer lane. He's got the movability, but only when there's a wave there. If he is pushed up forward, he doesn't have any escape abilities to get back.
Okay, so we do in fact see it is going to be a Vel'Koz mid with Zoidy grabbing himself the Nami, and Saboteur, of course, has secured himself the Cho'Gath for the top lane. Now the answer is, what is Melbourne High School going to grab? It is the Gragas, and they're the knockups that I was a little worried about for the Yasuo. The explosive cast, even the body slam set up the Yasuo, and it looks like it's going to be Yasuo in the mid and Neeko in the top, as you called it.
It's very interesting here. We look at Reservoir, and they've obviously gone down the path of comfort. What are they comfortable on? What are champions that they know how to play really well? If we have a look at Melbourne High School, that's a very meta composition right there. This is a very typical 9.12 in every role that they pick. The only slight exception is Gragas, who's not overpowered, he's not top tier jungler, but paired with the Yasuo, it is quite a good pick.
It makes sense to lock in the Gragas here as opposed to the other top tier junglers right now. You look at the likes of Jarvan or Lee Sin, their knockups are a lot harder to land. The flag and drag you have to nail, and the Lee Sin you have to hit level 6, you have to have that Dragon Rage kick to be able to get that knockup. So I do agree with you, the Gragas is probably the best of jungles left available after Sejuani got denied, and I'm really excited to see the Melbourne High School lineup. But Reservoir High Schools, their lineup's a little bit different. It feels like a very much, we're going to wait to 20-30 minutes. We're going to let the Vayne finally get her 2-item power spike and then try to take over the game from there. So Melbourne High School, I feel like, are on a timer. If they can get ahead for the first 20, at about 20-minute mark, if they get a lead, they're going to be in a great position to take control of the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting when, as you said, you're looking at that team comp and thinking, oh, well, they want to get to late. Most Vayne compositions want to get to the late game. But outside of that, there's not a lot of synergy in their team comp. They pick comfort picks, and that's great, especially game one. They're a live event, they've got an audience here, and they're probably a bit nervous. It makes sense to go to what you're comfortable on, champions that you know that you're not going to make easy mistakes on. But looking at it from a composition point of view, what are they looking to do?
It feels like, as you said, they hold the game out, wait for 1 or 2 really good team fights come 30 minutes, and then try to take over the game. But we will be getting into that very game very shortly. And as we are, I would, of course, like to thank our sponsors for helping it run today. Optus, Intel, Acer, and Torrens University.
Yes. Thank you.
I've never had an applause for sponsors before. I must admit, live events, they always have something unique and special to them.
I agree.
Applause for sponsors has got to be a first.
Well, it's well deserved. We wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be having a live event and giving these high school students such a fantastic opportunity without the sponsors. So why not cheer for them? I agree.
Why not have a bit of fun? As hopefully we will get into this, but as we're loading into the game, Reservoir and Melbourne High School, as we've said, Reservoir have drafted a bit more of a sort of weight, not really traditional composition, definitely more based on comfort. Melbourne High School have said, okay, we're in 9.12, let's draft the 9.12 things. Who do you think will take the first game in this best of 3 series, Bunana?
Just looking at the team compositions, you'd expect Melbourne High School to win this first game. Their composition as a whole looks a lot easier to execute, and it makes more sense. That being said, I don't think you can write off a Reservoir, given that they are on champions they know. They're not playing random champions that are just good in the meta. So I would, just based on the compositions, expect Melbourne High to come away with this one for that ease of execution they've got in their composition.
Well, obviously, whoever can get the first game in a series like this is going to have a huge momentum advantage, as we do get to see the audience on stream. Give everyone a wave, everybody, as we're live event, a lot of waves going on. And I do agree with you. It's this idea of comfort versus meta. If you can win with meta, there's no need to swap to comfort. Yes. Melbourne High School can keep whatever they've got in their back pocket hidden until Reservoir demand to say, okay, you need to answer something that we're running. On the other side, if Melbourne High School can't win with meta, if they can't win with what is considered strong in the meta, then they're going to say, okay, well, do we go back to what we know personally? Do we draft something that is a lot more our style, rather than drafting into that? As we are into the game, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear some noise. Reservoir and Melbourne High School, game 1 in our grand final series.
Right, it's going to be really interesting to see here if they go for a very standard fan across the map, or whether they're going to go for an invade or anything like that. You'd expect, given that it's their first game, nerves might be playing a part. Let's see how they deal with it at the very first.
Melbourne High School don't look like they're playing with a lot of nerves. Everyone is bottom side focused, and it could be an invade, but look, there is a ward, so they have been spotted, or at least Barn has been spotted, and while this looks like I think this is way too obvious of a bait. There's no way he's standing there and be like, no, I'm fine, guys. There's no one waiting in the bush right behind me. Come on, attack me, please.
Yeah. I think he's just standing there knowing that there's a ward there as well. But you're right, there's going to be no real shenanigans that happens here. A bit of dancing for the crowd, obviously, you would assume. Apart from that, you can see now they're starting to fan out, block all entrances into the enemy jungle. Ready to get into the lane phase and get this game underway properly. Standard
line of scrimmage coming out of both teams, and we will see both junglers starting on the bottom side of the map as we get ourselves a little bit of a pause. But what I was going to say is we are seeing Sherlock running the AD on hit Nico,
yes,
which has its own merits and its faults, because it pretty much means at that point the ultimate is nothing more than a CC bot. So you need to be able to position yourself correctly with that Nico. Otherwise, it feels like, why not play a Vayne top at that point?
The other thing, though, is that you do have the Sona. The large AoE that you get from Nico's ultimate, you can get from the Sona. And the Sona's ultimate is easier to hit. It's less risky, you don't have to get in there to hit it. So I don't mind going the on-hit Nico because there's the Sona there to offer that AoE CC.
Yeah, we'll see if that's able to work itself, as we are, of course, kicking off the laning phase, and part of me doesn't expect a whole lot out of laning phase in terms of solo kills. Bottom lane, it's a Sona Taric. You're not going to kill them in lane. They're going to harass you. The lane's going to suck, but you're going to be able to get out of that one. Is the mid lane, that's the lane I expect to get explosive. The Yasuo versus a Vel'Koz. If Vel'Koz gets jumped on top of by the Yasuo, there's not a whole lot of Vel'Koz can actually do in that matchup. So, of all lanes to go sideways for the side of Rock and Melbourne, I am expecting it to be that middle lane. Just seeing just skirmishes on the bottom side for now, but Stace is taking a lot of damage for it.
Yeah, and those trades actually favour the Sona, because not only is she getting the Spell Thief's procs, she's getting gold there, but she's also getting gold from her Klepto. She's got the sustain with her heal as well to somewhat match the Nami. But in terms of goal...
They are trying to turn it around, chat, taking a lot of damage, forced back, but we are seeing the advantage. Zoidal's Nami is doing a good job of nullifying the harassment coming out. It's actually, we were seeing a skirmish on the top side. Sherlock might be in a lot of trouble. One more hit will do it. Flash to flash, though! He does get a lot of taunting on the back end of it!
All right, that... Very nicely played. The first action we've got, and Sherlock managed to walk away. The flash just in time to avoid Nunu's follow-up there, and a bit of cheeky taunting afterwards. I like it.
I mean, Sherlock's got to be happy when you burn the jungler's flash, and it's like, all right, cool, flash to flash, but you ain't helping. It's a really nice feeling there. Carrick on the wrong... Oh, that's a horribly timed pause. Carrick is not in the position he wants to be in. He needs to snowball the hell out of there as quickly as humanly possible, because if they finally lay in the CC, I don't know if Leon's going to be able to keep his jungler alive.
No, and Gragas does have the flash. He's going to have the flash belly slam as well, which is obviously a huge hitbox, very easy to hit. So yeah, he's going to need to snowball out of there. He's probably going to run into the Yasuo though. Luckily, the Vel'Koz does have enough mana to get off a full rotation of spells, and he's pretty healthy. So they should be able to get out there, but if they don't, and the Yasuo starts off with an early kill, that spells disaster in the mid lane. The Vel'Koz isn't very mobile, and with the Yasuo with an early kill, that's really going to be difficult for the Vel'Koz to manage that, getting that Yasuo ahead.
I mean, we've all found our way into a Yasuo, who's extremely fed in game, and then you're like, oh, this Yasuo should be easy to kill, and then you look at the scoreboard and he's 12-1 for some reason. You're like, oh, something went really wrong in mid lane. This is a slight concern, as hopefully we will be getting back into it now. We do see Craig running for his life. He does get out. Leon keeping his jungler. Whoa! First blood in the bottom lane! What? That should not be happening. The fact that the sustain lane is getting killed in a 2v2 is a disaster when it comes to Melbourne High School's plan. They can't let Vayne get ahead. Yeah,
it's really unfortunate that we didn't get to see that. As you said, the sustain that they offer, and Vayne being quite weak early lane, there's no reason why the Stoners should be dying.
Coming in, Sherlock kills Saboteur on the top side, and a failed gank on bottom. Stasis trying to force it. He does get the flash out of Zoidal, but a flash versus the kill on the top side of the map is not what you're gunning for.
No, and a flash on the Nami is not the biggest thing in the world. But they did blow the flash. It's better than nothing. But as you said, they did pick up the kill on the top side, so not that bad.
Well, we are seeing a visit to mid. Stasis here. Whoa, flash going in actually. The barrier on Stasis gets knocked up a little bit ambitious there, Stasis. I like the idea. Leon is low on mana now, but perhaps wait a little bit, get Leon a little bit lower, or get your Yasuo his ultimate available before you attempt another gank like that.
Yeah, I think there was just a bit of miscommunication there. If the Yasuo had committed there, they could have picked up the kill, but as you saw, the Gragas jumped in, he blew his flash to do it, he hit his combo, but Yasuo had already backed off. So just some simple miscommunication there between the mid lane and the jungle of Melbourne High School. And hopefully as the games go on, they'll start to get a bit more synergy. Nerves might back off.
Oh my lord, chat going low. The Ignite dropped down, but the Guardian Shield will keep him alive for now. But this bottom lane that is designed for sustain is getting bullied out by the Vayne, who has a Vamp Tepter. So whatever poke you are laying down into the Vayne, if it's not consistent, you're not actually going to be in a position to kill her.
No, well, they've now got the Nami, and they've got the Vayne with the Vamp Scepter. So they're, at this stage of the game, matching the sustain, which is very counterproductive for the Taric and the Sona.
Saboteur might be in a bit of trouble here. He has flash available, however, so he should be able to get it alive. Meanwhile, we are seeing the junglers getting involved with Bans, trying to fight it out, but Bans should not be able to hunt down a beautiful sidestep that gets him out alive. And I like how aggressive both these teams are playing. They don't care there's a stage. They don't care it's the grand final. They need to keep playing aggressive, and so far they're doing just that.
Yeah, all that action for a Scuttle Crab. I like it. A Scuttle Crab's important. We all love vision, but bringing the top and the mid laners into the river just to fight over the Scuttle Crab. Both of these teams are eager to fight. We've seen non-stop skirmish after skirmish, and that's what we want to see when we're watching, especially the high school leagues. Might be a little bit undisciplined, but it's entertaining to watch.
It's entertaining to watch, and in a way, if you can create chaos and understand how the chaos works better than your opponents, you're still gonna win. I recall 2015 Unicorns of Love. Their literal game plan for an entire split in the AULCS was just create chaos, win through experience. So chaos isn't always bad if you know what you're using, but on the bottom side, the chaos is not working out for Maroon.
No, it's not going ideal for them. That being said, they've got the Sona now being able to CS very shortly. Once they've completed their item there, they'll be able to do that. And the Sona does scale extremely well. Going down 1 kill, it's not the end of the world. In terms of CS, the Taric is even with the Vayne. So it's unfortunate they lost that death in the early stages, but they really shouldn't be panicking there. They've got the Sona, they're fine.
Unfortunately, the top side is, it's going just better for them. Sherlock, I mean, when you pick a ranged champion like a Nico into a Cho'Gath, it's pretty obvious how that's going to go, but actually Stasis on the bottom side, the stun landing from Chat. Can they force the fight? Zonal, one hit away, the heal coming out though, will keep him alive. Predator in, unfortunately, nothing coming out. Meanwhile, Life launches into race, he gets a kill! 1 versus 2, can he get Leon? One flash! And a double kill, 2v1 for Bands in the mid!
That's what I like to call the enemy Yasuo. I don't think I've ever had a Yasuo on my team.
But it's the enemy team's Yasuo that gets away with that one. And that is a huge boon for a Yasuo. Yasuo's love to snowball. Getting a 2v1 and a double kill at that is huge now. 2-0-0 on the Yasuo, 200 gold bounty as well. And look at the gold. He's 1,200 gold above Leo on that Vel'Koz.
Yeah, the gold difference is quite massive already. It's over 2,000. We're seeing 1,200 1,000 in the top lane, seeing almost 1,200 in the mid lane. Jungle's a couple of hundred, and in the bot lane, they're pretty even. So the gold difference is all on the Yasuo and the Nico. They're your carries.
And we can see that when it comes, the itemization that we're seeing right now. It's pennies. Everyone's still putting together their items, and yet you have to feel like Melbourne High School with the more traditional 9.12 composition is ahead in terms of tempo. They've got a winning top lane. Their bottom lane sure isn't doing as amazingly as I'm sure they were hoping for, but their Yasuo is 2-0. Their Gragas is going to be getting it out as soon as Sherlock. Oh my lord, it splashes on the turret and kills him!
Well, this gold lead is starting to get big. We're up to 3,000 gold at 8 minutes into the game. That gold lead is huge, and as I said, it's on the carries. Melbourne High School have 2 carries, the Nico and the Yasuo. They're both sitting at 2-0. They've both got very big CS leads, and they're both absolutely controlling their lane. This should be a very easy, if they don't do any lane swaps, this should be a very easy Rift pickup as almost on spawn, which is then going to give them so many turret plates to just get this gold further ahead. The jungler from Reservoir High School, the Nunu, really has to do something here to change the tempo of both of these lanes.
But the question I raise is, what can this Nunu do? He's lost control of the top side of the map entirely, and even if he visits the one winning lane he has, that being Harley and Zoid in the bottom, I actually don't know what you can do. Like, have you ever tried tower diving a Sona Taric? It never works because you got Cosmic Radiance coming down, you got Crescendo coming down, you don't have the time to deal the damage you need. So what can Kurg on this Nunu actually start to look to do?
Well, he needs to look at getting some level of objective control. When I'm talking about objective control, I'm not just talking about rush straight to the dragon. He needs to try and get some vision.
That was cheeky by Sherlock, a good way to deny Kurg. He's obviously going to disagree with me. He's saying, okay, I need to get at least one of these losing lanes an advantage, tries to visit top lane. Unfortunately, Sherlock playing too safe with the Nico, and he may potentially try and visit mid, but he just walked past a ward. There's no way that Melbourne High School don't see this coming, and Vans, I don't see how he doesn't get out of this one just fine. Yeah,
that is honestly simply unacceptable. You cannot walk down the river as a jungler and not even check the pixel rush. That is, as I said, it's unacceptable. He needs to get vision control so that his lanes don't get further behind. At the moment, he can't fix the lanes directly. He can indirectly help his laners stay alive more.
Oh, seeing a double crescendo coming in, the counter is a beautiful barrel, throws them in, the support goes down, Harley's not long for this world, and that is the bottom lane kicking it off, a double kill coming in for homeostasis.
Yeah, look, it is very early days. Reservoir are looking in a lot of trouble here. They're now down 6 kills to 1. They're down 5,000 gold. And all of the carries and damage dealers on Melbourne are very far ahead. They need to start establishing, as I've said it a few times now, they need to establish some vision. Their laners are getting further behind because they can't see when they're getting ganked. They can't see when the enemies are making roams. And that's really all they can look to do at this moment, is get some control on the map.
Well, so far, unfortunately, not working out. We're seeing pretty much all the turret platings on the top side falling to Sherlock. And now the one advantage they had being Harley and Zoid may be lost as the Dragon is now being started up by Melbourne High School. They're dragging it out and actually backing away for now and not wanting to risk it. Vane's come back with the components of her Blade of the Rune King. And they said Melbourne High School is going to be saying, okay, there's no need to be too aggressive. Let's play it smart. Let's play it safe. Our advantages are top and middle. And talking about that Vans, if he lands that tornado, he might go in, but chooses not to.
A very smart call of Melbourne High School there to back off the Dragon. They started up feeling a bit ambitious. They were obviously far ahead. They probably thought, why not? But Reservoir's team had come back, and if they got caught in the river there, they were able to be pincered from both sides, and that's a very easy way that they could have given away their gold. So a disciplined choice there to back off the Dragon and head back to their lanes.
And so, making sure they're playing a little bit safe. Oh, Saboteur going in onto Sherlock. The Pop Blossom not connecting, but the CC does. Saboteur has to get on top of this Nico, but the kiting is simply too real, and Saboteur's going to get cut down. Nico having a bit of fun with the taunting afterwards.
Yeah, look, the Nico's got a bit of attitude. I like it. It's entertaining, but look, Sherlock's obviously got some practice and some skill in the Nico. Been able to position quite well, knowing what damage they've got. The flash earlier, knowing that last proc will get the kill. It's very impressive to watch.
We're gonna have an interesting time on the bottom lane. We're seeing a 3 versus 4 tidal wave coming out, but reinforcements have arrived from the side. Stasis, the barrel clamming on 2. They goes into the back line. They need to get Zoid, but not gonna be enough Vans on the wrong side. A bit of a cushion. Looking at 2 members. They're going all in. Absolute Zero trying to buy a bit of time. I don't think it's gonna be enough as they are cut down where they stand. A 3-for-1 tower dive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over again, but it's something that Reservoir need to fix. They went in for the 3-man gank there with their jungler, but they had no vision to see
Life
that.
on this integration ray, not going to kill off Vans. That's a little unfortunate. Stasis feeling confident, chats with him as well. 2 on their Cosmic Radiance coming down once again. The invulnerability does mean the tower dive is safe and taken out by Stasis. And Leon tried to do all he could, but that Cosmic Radiance caused him so many issues.
Yeah. If you have a look at the line of vision that Melbourne have established, they've got free roam of the bot side jungle of Reservoir. Reservoir had no idea that they thought it was going to be a 3v2. It was actually a 3v4. They're really, really struggling here to establish any control on any aspect of the map. What Nami's doing right now is the right thing to do. Vane's pushed up. You need to be able to get her... Oh.
Kurg's got to get out of there. The Blade of the Rune King used by the Nico, but he should be able to get alive with that snowball. But he's lost control of the top side of his jungle. He's now lost control of the bottom side of his jungle. Where can Kurg actually go other than to his lanes at this point?
Nunu really has to essentially turn into a human ward right here. He's barely able to farm, and any farm that is available needs to go on this Vane. This Vane has 2 kills. She's got the completed Blade of the Ruined King. And as we said, that is their late game insurance policy. So any spare resources available at the moment have to go on the Vane. So Nunu's just going to take scraps, walk around the map, plant vision when they can, and try and establish so that they can see when and where Melbourne are roaming through the jungle. And that's unfortunately all that the Nunu can really do.
Well, Nunu may need to be topside soon. With the Dragon down, the Rift Herald is the next objective up on the board. It's going to be available for another 5 or so minutes, and I will be very surprised if Melbourne High School don't say, okay, well, we've taken control of the bottom side. We've rotated Barnes down to the bottom side of the map. Rift Herald is available. There is no reason why they shouldn't go and take that objective. So I'm hoping to see them rotate topside, grab what they can there. We see it now, they're setting up around Scuttle Crab, and may potentially go for the Cho'Gath, because Saboteur is very pushed up without a turret to keep him backed up. But Kurg in his jungle, he's going to get caught out. The human ward, unfortunately, not long for this world. Homeostasis crushes him out. Saboteur roaming back down, trying to help his jungler, but he's a little bit out of position here. The CC landing, and Saboteur needs to keep running. If he tries to fight, he's going to try and die, but I don't think he's going to be able to get out. The slows coming in, the barrel coming out. Stasis grabs his 3rd.
Yeah, I don't think Reservoir realised just how far behind they are. We can see it here, they're 12,000 gold behind.
Yeah.
There is nothing that they can do there if they're caught out in the jungle having fights like that. They can't see where their enemy's coming from, and even if they do, what can they do about it?
It's that same stuff. If you're about 4,000 to 5,000 gold behind, yeah, you can get caught out of position and maybe still make the fight work. The issue is that in League of Legends, there's the mark. If you're 10,000 gold behind your opponents, it's very difficult to come back. When you're 12,000 gold behind, unfortunately, it's near impossible. They can still do it, but they need to turtle for the next 40 minutes and make the gold irrelevant, or try and get picks off onto Sherlock. He outruns the tidal wave. The flash to try and get away. Pop wasn't being used, but the life on his integration ray, followed up by the Silver Force from Harley, grabbed their third team kill for Varrock.
Yeah, that is exactly what they need to do. They got a kill, and they got it on the Vayne. The Vayne is really their only chance of coming back into this game. And we've all seen a Vayne late game pop off 1v5. It's not completely impossible, it's just going to be very difficult to do. We're at 17 minutes, 11,000 gold, 3 turrets, 10 kill difference. It's very scary, but they do have that Vayne.
They do have that Vayne, and hopefully, again, that's why I say you wait to about 40 minutes. You wait until the Vayne has, 3, 4 items. You wait to the point where even if you're sitting at 80,000 gold, the gold becomes irrelevant. Once everyone's sitting at 5, 6 items, gold doesn't matter at that point. So Varrock really need to pull it back and make sure they don't lose any inhibitors before they are able to get Vayne online. Because once the inhibitors start going down, you lose all control of map. And at that point, Baron is going to get taken against you very quickly. Dragon is going to fall as well. So Varrock, I like their idea of coming in with a lot of comfort champions. Unfortunately, not working out the way they were really gunning for.
No, but they do have 2 tanks on their team, and tanks are more cost efficient to get their full build. They've also got the Cho'Gath, who's going to beef up naturally through just hitting the ultimate on minions and a champion, if they can get to a champion. So they do have 2 tanks that have relatively cheap builds. They've got the Nami, who's just going to be getting gold just for being Nami. And they've got those resources that they can funnel into the Vayne. You're right, though. If they want a chance to win, this is going to be a very long game.
It is, but it is a best-of-5 series, and throughout this whole game, even if Varrock's idea isn't, okay, we're going to still to late game, you can think to yourself, okay, where did things go wrong in game number 1? What can we change for game 2, game 3, game 4? And I'd say the best thing you have to change is have more winning lanes. Your top lane, a Cho'Gath into a Nico, you're never going to win that. Your bottom lane of a Vayne into the Soda Turret worked out well, but in Season 9, you need 2 winning lanes, and Varrock really only drafted 1, that being the bottom lane.
And if you're not going to draft the winning lanes, then you really need to look to the jungler to step up. Unfortunately here, Kayak on the Nunu has not done what Nunu needed to do. All 3 of the lanes have been pushed up. There have been opportunities to gank, but because the Nunu hasn't been able to put the vision down, the Nunu just hasn't been able to impact any of the lanes. If you were the Nunu looking on this map, you've got every lane that you could have ganked. With the exception of maybe the bot lane. You could have gone to the top lane, you could have gone to the mid lane, you could have cleared out vision. We saw it a couple of times where Karag would just walk over a ward. So perhaps the Nunu wasn't the ideal pick, perhaps it was execution. The other option could have been going something a lot easier to execute with those ganks, like the Jarvan.
Jarvan was up and available. The only jungler that really got hit was the Sejuani, so hopefully we will see more activeness coming out of Kurg, and I think it's a mixture of both. A mixture of, okay, this lane's not going well, I'm just going to try and help another lane, it didn't work out, and then you tried to help that other lane, go back to the top lane that went poorly. It's a matter of, I think, you go back to the draft phase, you think to yourself, okay, instead of something safe like the Cho'Gath, let's lock in something aggressive, maybe not the Renekton because it did get banned, but maybe a Jack, something that can try and fight the Nico in the early game, something that has mobility, because part of the reason that Saboteur is struggling in the top lane is Nico, an extremely mobile champion with a ton of CC to boot. Cho'Gath sort of runs at you, and that's all he can really do. If he doesn't have any backup, he can't CC you himself. How's Cho'Gath meant to get on top of a Nico? He can't.
No, look, and they did think that the Nico was going mid, considering that they kept banning top lane champions in that second phase of banning. So perhaps that was just an incorrect assumption that the Nico would be mid. But they did definitely draft themselves into some very unfortunate lanes, particularly that top lane. And we're seeing now a 50 CS difference in that top lane, seeing a 70 CS difference in the mid lane, and all 3 of the carries, I'm including Sona as a carry because when you're 3-2 with an Archangel staff, you're a carry, Sona. All 3 of their carries are just very far ahead and dangerous.
and you can't afford to get caught up with them. An issue for Varrock is that when you look at Melbourne High School's composition, they've got a ton of crowd control that they can just sort of throw at you, and if it lands, great. If it doesn't, not the end of the world. And that mainly being you look at Sherlock with that Tangled Barb, and of course, if they're really feeling confident, and I don't see a reason why they wouldn't, AP Gragas with Stasis, with of course the Proto Belt as well, happy to throw himself in there, use that explosive cast, disrupt the enemy battle position, and then let the Yasuo go to town. And all it can take in terms of a team fight is one good explosive cast coming out of Stasis, because this Yasuo is 4-0. He's got his double crit items ready to go. One barrel onto someone like Harley, and that could potentially be your hope to as the flash! Zoid gets out alive, but Kerrick actually going back in for some reason. You'd be very safe when you're this far behind.
There was a very ambitious step forward there by the Nunu. But at the same point, when you're at this stage of the game...
Oh no, he's going to keep running out of his zone jungle. Harley rotating up will keep Nunu alive, but I'm a little surprised how aggressive he's playing. You've lost control of your bottom side jungle. You've lost control of your jungle in general. At this point, you need to be a human ward. You need to be moving with people. Going on your own like that is a death sentence.
Now, if you have a look at the inventory of Reservoir High School, they've just picked up one control ward now on the Vayne. Apart from that, there are no control wards. They're getting picked off everywhere they step on the map. They need to be able to put some vision to see where the enemy is so that they know where not to go.
And looking at that vision, eyes, of course, have to turn onto Zoid, the support of the team. A 39 vision score, which is very respectable and somehow the highest in this game, even above his opposite number of Shat. But part of the issue is when you go warding when you're behind, you need to send backup. You can't send the Nami on her own. She'll become Sushi in 2 seconds flat. So you need to send someone like Saboteur or Kurg with your support, protect the Nami as she tries to fight the vision war that you guys have lost quite whole-handedly so far for the first 20 minutes of this game.
And even right now, they saw the enemy back. The enemy's now getting back on the map, and they didn't take that opportunity to establish any control. But what they have done is they've pushed their lanes out as much as possible so that they can farm. So that's definitely done to their credit, especially Saboteur on the Cho'Gath there has pushed that top wave up. That's now pushing away from them, and that leaves him free to help in the mid lane or in the bot lane to defend. So that's exactly what you want to see from a team that's behind there from Saboteur.
Last breath coming out. They are going hard onto the Nunu. The Nunu will get cut down, and the wind wall makes it near impossible for Leon to help his jungler, who, we've said it time and time again, there is no way that this Nunu should be able to farm his own jungle, yet he keeps trying to force the issue.
Yeah, and he's died now, I think, 3 times in his own jungle without vision around him. But we keep saying, what else could he do? He can just be a human ward. It's really unfortunate, but he's found himself so far behind. He's 3 levels behind.
And with him dead, that is going to be the startup of Baron, and I don't see a world where Rock High School, the high school have a chance of fighting this one. This will be handed over to Melbourne High School. The one thing they can maybe grab is a kill onto Sherlock, who is a bit extended, but using that Blade Rune King gets out fine, and Baron going over to Melbourne High School at 21 minutes.
Yeah, when you've got a Sonar and a Taric there, it is quite safe to take the Baron. It's also probably a reason that we can see Gragas is going full AP Gragas. You've got the pseudo tankiness with the Sonar and Taric in the fact that you're just getting healed and shielded every second by one of them. So he can afford to go a more damage-heavy build.
And an idea I like with it is you throw Gragas in, he dishes out all his damage in a couple seconds, and then congratulations, you've killed someone who has no cooldowns left available. You've got a Yasuo who's probably using his last breath because of the explosive cast. You've got Sherlock on the backline and homeostasis and Chat diving in as well. So if you kill someone who's already used all the cooldowns, at that point it's sort of a redundant kill, especially when you are this far behind. But unfortunately, I fear they may be falling further behind Reservoir. They're being sieged by the Baron, and they really don't have a whole lot of wave clear. The one person who can stop the Baroned up minions is probably going to be Leon on the Vel'Koz, but I don't know if he's actually got the damage to do it. As we are seeing a skirmish, looks like Ban's going in for some reason. This Yasuo is more than likely. No, he gets out alive with a flash. A beautiful last breath going in. Stacy trying to buy what time. Pulp Blossom locking it down. The Nunu on the back line. They're finally going turret diving. They don't give a damn. Harley needs to try and turn this fight around. Flashes in. The Vayne is trying to do what he can, but not going to be enough as Bans cuts him down. Leon, the last surviving member of Reservoir High, forced to watch as his base starts to get torn apart.
And the really unfortunate thing in that fight, particularly for Reservoir, is that if they weren't so far behind...
Oh no, that's cruel! Vans hunts him down, uses his own minions against him, and that's going to be an inhibitor.
That could really be the inhibitor in top lane. And then they could rotate mid lane and push that wave in and get a reset. And they will have a lot of gold sitting on them at the moment. And that they could go back and just power up even more.
I mean, we're nearly getting to the point where they're 20,000 goals ahead. Like I said before, 10,000 gold was a very difficult lead to, very difficult to come back from. 20,000 gold? I don't think that's realistically possible unless you really manage to stall it out. But given the way that Melbourne High School has been playing, how aggressive they've been playing, and how they're not willing to sit back and let Varrock farm up, I just don't see how Reservoir High School can really stall this game out.
No, and you saw the last team fight they had there. If Reservoir weren't so far behind in terms of items and in terms of gold, that fight was probably a winning fight. They did a lot right there. Yes, they did get caught with the belly slam from the Gragas, but apart from that, they did a lot of things right there. And if that Vayne had an extra half an item, that would have been a winning fight there. So they take a fight that they should win and they still lose it. What else can they do?
At this point, if you're Reservoir High School, you have to think to yourself, okay, what went wrong in game number 1, and get ready to fix that for game number 2. You need to do a full mental reset. Don't beat yourself up over this game. If you do that, you're going to tilt, and unfortunately, that's where series are lost. So hopefully, they're able to power it through, think to themselves, okay, well, we need to draft more aggressive lanes. We need to maybe be a bit more proactive with the jungling, or we need to go the other direction, draft a full late game team and hope we don't fall as far behind as we did in game number 1. As we are seeing Melbourne High School setting themselves up, hopefully, again, nearly a 20, they're 19,000 gold in the lead, they're just setting up to break open Reservoir's base.
Yep. And I think if we look back to earlier in this game, I asked you the question, what is the point of Reservoir's team? What are they aiming to do? The only answer that we could come up with is wait for 40 minutes in the game. They're not going to get to 40 minutes. They need to ask themselves that same question at the end of this game. What is it we're trying to do? What do we need to draft to do that?
Exactly, and hopefully that will come out in game number 2, as we are seeing Melbourne High School simply putting the squeeze out onto Reservoir. They do catch the Vayne out there, a lot of damage onto Harley, and the siege game continues, and they can afford to take these tower shots. They're running Sona Taric. It is so difficult to actually deal substantial damage against them that simply won't get healed up, because look down the items. No one has had the time to build healing reduction. There's no executioners calling out of Harley, and there's no Morella Nomicom out of Leon. So they're in a position where they need the healing reduction, but they literally can't afford to purchase the items required to give them what they need to have a chance in a team fight. They are stepping up. Stasis running forward with that Predator. He has the explosive cast ready to go, but holding on to it just yet. It looks like they're going to do a full sweep, take everything that Reservoir own.
Yeah, when you're versing a team that has such amazing sustain, and we're not just talking about the Sona Taric. We're talking about a Yasuo with Conqueror. We're talking about a Nico with Blade of the Ruined King. The amount of lifesteal and healing that's there, the only way to beat that is to burst them down. To have the damage to burst people, you need items.
Exactly, and items that unfortunately Reservoir do not have, and they're forced to watch their last inhibitor turret fall. Their third inhibitor of the game falls. Grace going in, a beautiful explosive cast in the last breath, take them out, and Reservoir are trying to hold on, but the Cosmic Radiance means no damage is being dealt right now. As we're going Nexus Tower diving, apparently, as they're simply going to fall one by one. Saboteur, the next victim of the fight. Leon and Zoid, the last 2 members. Leon is well out of position, is going to get cut down. Zoid forced to watch as the first game in our grand final series will be going over to Melbourne High School Maroon. And let's be realistic with ourselves, Boonanar, a very dominating showing for game number 1.
Yeah, look, we can talk about how dominating it was. We can talk about everything that Melbourne High School did right. We can talk about everything that Reservoir did wrong. But really, when you're winning by 20,000 gold, what else can you say?
That's, like I said, now coming back for game number 2, Reservoir High School need to look at the draft and say, okay, what went wrong in this game? We didn't really have any lanes we could work off. Our jungler didn't have the impact that we were really needing in those first 15 minutes. So, Varrock's plan for game number 2, if I was in Varrock's position, I would say draft a more aggressive top laner, something that a bit better than a Cho'Gath. Draft yourself a more aggressive jungler. If you didn't get access to the Sejuani, which you didn't in game number 1, look at something like a Jarvan. Maybe look at something like a Lee Sin, something that has to be aggressive early to really be relevant come the mid game, come the late game. So that I think is Varrock's best hope. On the side of Melbourne though, I don't think Melbourne can probably draft the exact same composition that they did in game number 1 because they have no need to show the enemy team anything more than what they already have.
Look, if Sona Taric gets through this pick man phase, Reservoir have made a big mistake. Yes, they lost in their lane phase, but it was the Sona Taric constant shielding and healing that would not let them back in the game. They took some winning fights, but they couldn't win those fights because of the constant sustain that was coming out of Sona Taric. They absolutely have to get that off the board. If we don't see a Sona ban in the first phase, as I said, that is a very big mistake that Reservoir would be making.
And then the question is, what do you swap out for that Sona ban? I do agree with you. We are playing in 9.12. You need to deal with Sona Taric. It's essential at that point. So we'll see what they're able to do, guys. But there is going to be a 5-minute break before we get into game number 2. Melbourne High School sitting 1-0 in this series against Reservoir High School. Game number 2, 5 minutes away. We'll see if Reservoir can fight back. of Melbourne High School in a very dominating fashion. Let's not beat around the bush about that. But game 2 is right around the corner, and Reservoir are not going to go down without a fight. So hopefully they can draft a stronger composition in game number 2 and really drag this best of 3 out to a third game.
Yeah. And I think the key point there is draft. That's the good thing for Reservoir here, is they can turn this completely around just with their draft. Unfortunately, they drafted themselves a very difficult job last game, and if they can draft themselves something slightly better this game, it could create in a completely different result.
Well, we are into pick and ban of game number 2, and on the side of Melbourne High School, something we do have to call to attention is they have substituted 2 players. Their jungler and their mid laner have been swapped out despite winning the game. So obviously, feeling that they want to, bring something new to the table, as we're seeing the first adaptation, the Soda Taric being denied, which I think is the right decision coming out of Reservoir. They need to deny that from homeostasis and chat in the bottom lane.
And that was the first thing that I called at the end of last game. They cannot let Sonar Taric get through, and the way to counter that is to get rid of the Sonar. The Taric's strong paired up with the Sonar. The Sonar is just strong in general.
So denying that one. Other than that, we are seeing pretty standard bangs, the Corgi and Jinx coming out of Melbourne High School. Even taking away the Taric themselves, saying we don't need this anyway. And on the other side, Urgot taken away from Sherlock in the top side. And the final ban will have to see what they want to deny. And I think maybe you look at Sherlock, maybe get rid of the Nico. He did a brilliant job on that in game number 1. And you don't want to give them another comfort champion, but instead taking away the Yasuo, which was piloted by a different player last game.
Yeah, look, I don't mind the Yasuo ban because, but as you said, it was played by a different player. Last game it was played very well. The Nico, they can work around better with draft. Unfortunately, they got out-drafted giving the losing lane burst to Nico. If they fix their drafting, they can deal with that.
So the Kai'Sa locking for homeostasis makes a lot of sense. In a previous week of meta, he popped off his champion. So I really like to see him going back to comfort and still technically works as a meta champion. Kai'Sa is extremely strong right now, but Tahm Kench slipped through. Tahm Kench top for Saboteur. That is such a difficult champion to do. He does everything.
Yeah, look, the Tahm Kench could be bot lane. This is 9-12. The Tahm Kench is quite strong in as support at the moment. The reduced... Okay, that's Aramis.
So he's like, okay, the Nunu didn't work last game. Let's go for a CC heavy champion in the Rammus. I mean, it definitely can work. A lot of ganks, a lot of forced crowd control with the taunt. Not exactly conventional, but hey, I want to see it working. Eels, hovering Lee Sin. I would prefer to see a Sejuani here, just because I think it's a lot stronger. Or Talia even works as well. Oh, they're going for... Oh, okay. They're pulling out the Korean special. Talia and Pantheon in the bottom lane together. This is a kill lane.
That's horrible, but very, very funny to watch.
If you ever watched, it was in... I think Griffin ran it in the first half of the Korean split. It went disastrously wrong. It didn't get a single kill in lane, but it was amazing to watch and got banned out in game number 2. So... hopefully that works. That would mean the Kai'Sa goes somewhere else if they do run that, because I don't see why you would lock in the Pantheon and Talia in the same rotation unless you're playing them together. So
I think with the Kai'Sa lock-in, and especially knowing that Hemostasis does play a lot of Kai'Sa, I think we are going to see a Talia jungle and a Pantheon top lane, but that's a very confident to lock them both in right away. That being said, they did have the Tahm Kench and the Rammus already shown, so it's not as if they're blind picking both of them, and both of them are okay picks.
And they're going for their double bans on the bottom side. Double support coming out of the Rock, out of the Lux and the Nautilus. Double Eddie Carry being taken away. The Vayne from Harley says, hey, you did decent on it last game, we're going to take that away from you. And the Ezreal, a very safe champion to have. They are hovering for Xayah, although I'm always hesitant to see Xayah without Rakan. I do not like that by themselves, but obviously feeling confident Harley locks in his AD carry.
Look, Xayah without Rakan is probably better than Rakan without Xayah. If you only get one of them, I'd probably prefer the Xayah.
Ooh, Twisted Fate. Okay, could this be Klepto Twisted Fate, like Trinity Force mid? Because that's been something that's been popping up recently in 9.12 specifically, so I'm kind of hoping for that.
Yeah, it is getting quite popular. Some of the more popular streamers are playing that a lot. I know Midbeast and Gross Gore have been playing that a fair bit. So why not? We might see it.
So Melbourne High School decided to say, hey, this is your map? No, this is our map. global Twisted Fate, pretty much global Pantheon, pretty much global Talia, and then a straight up global Shen. There is nowhere on this map that Reservoir can go that Melbourne can't eventually get their way to themselves. So that's very interesting composition, and I want to see who ends up going where. They are hovering the Vel'Koz for Leon. Ooh, okay, so Leon's feeling confident.
Teemo mid
It has to be.
versus Twisted Fate. Interesting, but I like it.
I mean, you can make it work. Not what I was expecting coming into this, but we'll have to see. Melbourne High School, I don't know who is where at this point. They're all. It feels like it is going to be. It looks like they're running Kai'Sa jungle with Pantheon and Talia bot lane, like I said before, but that's. I mean, Melbourne High School's having a bit of fun with this game. They're stamping at. If you can win with this kind of team coming at Melbourne High School, there's pretty much nothing you can't take on at this point.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I still don't know exactly what they're doing.
Having some fun is what they're doing.
Yeah, champions should have been swapped over by now.
Yeah, so there's gonna be Shen top lane, Kai'Sa jungle, which we haven't seen since like the Braum jungle meta,
Yes.
when you could filter everything into one carry. It's gonna be the Pantheon and Talia in the bottom lane, and Twisted Fate in the middle for Melbourne High School, and that's. Like I said, it's confidence coming out of Melbourne High School. If you can win your final game in a grand final series running a team composition like this, you might as well.
And I think as much as we're saying it's going to be a weird lane phase, as you pointed out, once everyone's hit 6, they essentially, all of their laners have global abilities. You cannot step up, if you are Reservoir High School, you cannot step up without having vision, without having clear understanding of cooldowns on the enemy's ultimates, because you step up, all of a sudden you could be versing 5 people.
It's very dangerous, so they have to be very careful on the side of Reservoir, and maybe that's something that Melbourne High School can exploit. We saw a lack of vision in game number 1 coming out of Reservoir, so maybe Melbourne High School trying to exploit that lack of vision that will be coming out. Hopefully we'll be getting into the game shortly, but Teemo mid into Twisted Fate. That's something I want to have a quick chat about, because when I think of Twisted Fate, I think to myself, constant wave clear, no real way to push against him, and then Teemo doesn't even have that great of wave clear to begin with, so I'm a little concerned that the Twisted Fate idea of shove lane, rotate to a different lane, get it ahead, is going to continue.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting. That being said, Teemo can blind the Twisted Fate, that can counter some of his damage, which Twisted Fate does lack some damage in terms of skirmishes. Twisted Fate wants long, drawn-out fights, and Teemo can negate that if he gets his blind in at the right time.
Well, we'll have to see how that middle lane rocks itself, and of course we do get to see the Twisted Fate with the Kleptomancy, so it's going to be that Trinity Force hybrid sort of build. My concern would have been, well, what if we get to late game? I feel like this global composition is going to fall off, and then I realize, hey, there's a Kai'Sa jungle. Kai'Sa jungle scales amazingly, so we are loaded into the second. Very unconventional team composition coming out of Melbourne High School. Baroque, very more unconventional, not running something we'd expect coming out of a Season 9 team. But we'll have to see if they can make it work, and if there's any early shenanigans coming out of either of these lineups.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch how the lanes actually go. You can see what Melbourne High School want to do with their team fights. They just want everyone rock up at the same time, unexpected. But it is going to be interesting to see the laners. Shen, very decent lane phase. He's got a lot of tankiness. He's got a shield. He's got a block. He's got a taunt. Solid lane phase. We've talked about the Twisted Fate versus Teemo, which is an interesting lane matchup. Not something we probably see very often. The Pantheon Talia, as unconventional as it is something that we have seen. We know what they want to do. So I'm going to be very interested to see if they can do it as easily as they did last game.
I mean, the idea behind this is Chat and Sherlock need to be playing extremely aggressive. The whole idea is you land the stun from the Pantheon, followed up with a seismic shove from the Talia, and that needs to be enough damage to chunk them below half. If you can get them low, the Pantheon passive on his E, I believe, gets them within execute range because of the bonus crit. But you need to land that first stun and not be disengaged. But Harley and Zoid, neither of them actually running a cleanse, so not a lot of safety in the bottom lane if they do get jumped on it. We do see the start off of the game, both junglers kicking it off on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and this is where the Kaiser can do decent in the jungle. The fact that she does have that fourth proc ability in her passive there, which is why Kaiser jungle was actually played a little bit when Kaiser was first released.
We are seeing Harley being zoned away from the wave where he wants to get access to. He's going to take the long way and may fall behind a little bit in terms of CS and just experience in general, which is going to be a pain in the ass for this Xayah, but if she's able to play safe enough, she should be able to catch her way back. And remember, Xayah is amazing when it comes to scaling. A crit-based hyper carry that is quite safe come the late game with the Blade Storm, and of course the Feather Caller in her back pocket as well. But I'm going to drag us quickly to the top lane for a moment. Tahm Kench top is obnoxious. He's been obnoxious for about 2 seasons now, but with the most recent changes, he is a terror up there. All the sustain, all the damage, and we'll have to see how Zuzu is able to go with that Shen.
Look, Shen is just very safe top. He's quite versatile. He does have a very low range in terms of his auto attacks, but he does have the ability to offer some crowd control. He's got some damage of his own, and he can taunt, but also block the auto attacks. I don't imagine Shen is going to have a difficult lane here. He's got the grasp as well to keep him healthy. And if he's going to get the third proc with either a lick, he can get away with that taunt.
Ooh, we're seeing the combo, the seismic shove. There was no Unraveled Earth available, however, so not all the damage that could have been dished out. But imagine that when Taliyah is level 3 and she has her unworked Earth to work with as well. That's going to be so much extra damage thrown onto Harley, and I think that could potentially be a kill, but we are seeing a skirmish on top. Zu's a little bit pushed up, the taunt landing. The Shadow Dash needs to come out, the flash coming out. He gets minion blocked, however. He's going to get chomped up and taken out. Saboteur should be a no, never mind. Kratos picks it up, but Reservoir finally kicking the game off their favor.
Yeah, that was unfortunate that the Shen was not able to get away. He played it very well by putting himself behind a minion to block the initial CC by the Rammus, but unfortunately he was just pushed up way too far, and he's now greedily teleported back to the top lane.
And I kind of hope that Craig punishes them for this teleport. The Rammus is top. I hope for another gank, as we do get to see Eels is in the back line, actually stealing away these opposite numbers of jungle camps on the top side of the map. But other than that, lanes are quite passive. But for Reservoir on the bottom side, this passiveness is a disaster. Look how far back they have to play out of fear of Pantheon Taliyah.
Yeah, and unfortunately this lane is going to be very difficult for the Xayah Nami because Harley took a very greedy path to try and get into lane after the buff. He was pushed up the wave, he missed half a wave of experience, and he then got chunked as soon as he walked into lane.
Oh no, he's stepping up forward, decides to unravel. That's so much of the health bar of Harley, but he does get out. Chat trying to get him, but not going to be enough. Gets taken out by the feathers. Sherlock able to turn it around. A 1-4-1 so far, but Sherlock is going to get run down. That will make it a 2-4-1 trade. A double kill coming in for Zoid.
Look, last game we were quite critical of Kaig in terms of his jungle presence. We said what we wanted him to do in this game for them to come back, and he's done exactly that. He's ganked 3 times already in 5 minutes. He's even on CS.
Leon, Ignite, gonna go down. That's a solo kill by the Teemo.
That is fantastic start for Reservoir. They're winning in all 3 lanes here, and particularly in the jungle. On the Rammus, Kaig is doing fantastic in getting lane priority and punishing greedy plays by the Shen and by the Taliyah Pantheon. So this is looking really promising for Reservoir in this second game here.
Well, we are seeing skirmish on the bottom side. However, the Taliyah is going to get torn apart right there. Really good crowd control coming out of Melbourne High School. And that's how the combo works. You CC them to the point where they can't move. By the time they can move, they've lost over half their health bar, and they've got to run.
Yeah, and the Nami is just far too squishy to deal with that. When you're versing such a CC and damage, a burst team like this, the Nami really needs to be playing Enchanter. She can't be trying to poke. She's not a mage. She doesn't have that easy, reliable CC. So she needs to be playing far further back behind the Xayah.
Unfortunately, Zoid paying for that one. 1 death under his belt for now. But we'll have to see. Chat and Sherlock surely aiming to, add a few more deaths under that belt, because you need to get this snowball. More than anything else, when you run an unconventional bottom lane, you need to get ahead to really make it work. So we'll see. We'll keep in track of that bottom lane as the game continues. But we are finally seeing the global play. Saboteur might be in trouble. A 3-man party in top. Saboteur with this Tahm Kench. She's got the grey health to drive behind Zuzu. He's just being taunting at this one. The laughter out of Saboteur. He knows he's going down and has a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah, and that's, as you said, the first of those global plays that that team is built to do, and it worked out very successful. They picked up an easy kill, had a bit of fun with it, as you said, and they've now got some priority for the Shen to be able to pick up some farm and go back. And it looks like he's building towards the Sunfire Cape as opposed to the Tiamat first buy. So he'll be able to control waves a lot easier now.
A lot of safety, but we do see the punishment. If you show people top, a good response is to make something on the bottom side of the map. Teemo roam down, they will grab themselves an Infernal Dragon. And Reservoir High School playing game number 2 a lot better than game number 1 that we saw earlier today. So this could be a hell of a fighting chance for Reservoir to get a kill under their belts.
Yeah, look, they got an Infernal Drake, obviously a priority Drake. They've only got really 2 champions that greatly benefit from the Infernal, but you'd rather in your pocket than on the enemy.
100%, and it's an Infernal Dragon. Like, it is it's like a Cloud Dragon, like, it's not the end of the world, it's just a cloud. But an Infernal Dragon, a Mountain Dragon, and to some extent an Ocean Dragon all have impacts that you can feel. As we're seeing in the engage on the bottom side, Harley cannot get caught by the sides, which have a beautiful side, so it is going to be enough. As a multi-man pylon, the Shen's arriving as well. 4 members, Zoid's going to get burnt down. Kirk trying to turn it around, but it's simply not going to be enough damage. Actually might go down there. Eels just so much, but their Teemo arrives in the back line. Can Leon turn it around? The answer is no, he cannot. Tried his best, but was not able to succeed.
Yeah, really unfortunate play there from Reservoir. We were just complimenting how their macro has been very improved this game, their decision making. But right there, they kind of just walked in one at a time and died one at a time.
The Ants go marching in one by one, and unfortunately they fall one by one as well. Varrock is having a little bit of a bother on this red side for now. 4,000 gold down, but I raise you, it's better than where they were at in game number 1. So you have to look at it. They've got more kills under the belt. They haven't given away nearly as many kills as game 1. So it feels like Reservoir, while they're not in a great position, a lot better than game number 1 stands than told us to be.
I think the biggest difference is that they don't have an irrelevant jungler. They've got a jungler who he's a bit behind the Kaiser. The Kaiser's picked up quite a few kills. But the Rammus can actually do stuff to impact lanes.
Kaiser, we have reinforcements coming in, a 3-man pylon, this global composition giving no rest for the weary. Saboteur should be able to get alive. Tomkench is extremely tanky, so he should get out alive. But actually, they're coming over the backside. They want to try and force a tower dive onto Tomkench. He's going to try to channel the recall, but he actually might get just Sherlock. Might be a juggle. Twisted Fate coming in as well from the back end. Gold card for the stun. Kirk needs to get away. The Tomkench falls. The Rammus trying to turn it around, but not good enough. Forced to watch as his top and jungler both go down.
Yeah, and this is that global pressure that you were talking about. It was about 10 seconds ago, 20 seconds ago, it was a fair 1v1 top lane. All of a sudden, there's now 4 people top. How do you deal with that?
You don't. You die in this case, because for Reservoir, okay, the enemy can get pretty much wherever they want at any time, which even means you need to have as many deep wards as humanly possible, which is very difficult to do effectively. Or you just simply need to, the second you see a global play coming out of the enemy team, you have to react. You go to the other side of the map, or you try and reinforce your side of the map that's getting attacked. Because right now we're seeing, Reservoir, they've got 2 members on bottom, they're not pushing up against chat.
Yeah, when you've got 4 people on the top side of the map, you need to get something elsewhere on the map. Either in the mid lane, the bot lane, or if an objective's up, you need to look at that. All that the bot lane did for Reservoir and Harley and Zoid was they got 1 plate from that. There were 4 people top lane for an extended period of time, and they got 1 plate. So unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize on the 4 people being off the map.
But they are at least, it's a lot safer when it comes to, you look at Hardy thinking to himself, okay, finally I can get some CS, I'm not at risk of being burst down by the Talia and of course Pantheon combo. It means that I can get some CS, because Harley has been, let's be real, brutally punished by simply draft base. He's got 34 CS to the Pantheon's 71. That is a massive CS difference, and once again I feel like Reservoir need to play super, super safe to be able to get to the late game, because if you get to the late game, you're in a great spot. Yeah. Issue, get to the late game, I'm not sure they can get there. We hoped in game number 1 that would happen, didn't work out. Hoping for game number 2, given the global composition and how active Melbourne are being, I don't know if they can get there either.
Unfortunately, the bottom lane for Reservoir have played quite greedily, and they haven't respected the damage that comes out of Melbourne. We saw it in the level 1 when they were walking down from the river, and we saw the Xayah try and go down the river. You can't walk down the river, level 1 versus Pantheon Talia. And then we saw it a handful of times now. We've seen the Nami walk up and try and fight. Mate, you're a Nami. That's a Pantheon. You're not going to win that.
You're in no position to put up the fight. I like the attempt in a way. I always say if you're falling behind, if you're starting to lose a game, it's better to... You have two options. If you're bleeding out gold, you're bleeding out an advantage, you either have to get as many bandages as humanly possible and strap them onto the wound, or you need to cut the entire arm off and go all in on a play. It looks like so far Reservoir are doing we're going to try with the bandage solution.
Yeah.
They tried to gain number 1, it didn't work, but they were in such a bad position. They had 3 losing lanes and a jungler that wasn't working out for them. This game, I feel like if they bandage it enough, they can definitely get away with stalling out to 30 minutes and actually having a good shot at getting to the late game.
Well, they've got the tools this game. Before all these greedy plays, they had a tank v tank top match. Doesn't really matter who wins that because they're going to do the same thing late anyway. You had a winning lane in the mid. You had priority, you were up a kill, and they were up CS. Now the Teemo's been pulled around the map so much trying to follow the Twisted Fate, the Teemo's actually fallen behind. So they had the tools to do it this game. They have let it slip with those greedy plays through the bot lane, I believe.
It's very painful, but what I love to see out of Melbourne is it's not just bottom lane that they're focusing. Although that is the kill lane.
Yes.
For Pantheon Talia, you've got so much crowd control down there, you can execute pretty much whoever you want. They're also saying, okay, let's visit top side, let's visit... The one lane they haven't visited with their globals is the middle lane. And part of the reason is, do you really have to? You've got a Twisted Fate who's going to clear the wave in about 3 seconds flat, and then he's got Destiny. He can make that roam play around and help his team out. So I think that's the one lane you don't focus out. You get the Tom Kench even further behind than he already is, and I think definitely visit the bottom lane again. Do a 5-man pylon, kill the bottom laners, take the next dragon when it spawns, and really take a hold of this game as we are back in to the game where Melbourne High School hoping to push the tempo 5,000 gold above Reservoir High.
And I think you can't go mid lane. The reason you draft Twisted Fate mid lane is Twisted Fate is really...
Sherlock might be in trouble. The wave connects, a multi-man pylon, but there is reinforcement coming as Sherlock goes. But the reinforcement at the top of the bubble though, Chat finally able to get the kill in, but they are collapsing. The Tempest on try by a little bit of time. Double kill coming at the moment. The Talia is going there in the front line. Harley is simply going to get cut down. The Feather's not going to be enough. And Leon, oh, he's invisible. They have no idea. Oh no, they know the Sunfire Cape. The Sunfire Cape revealed it. He's going to try 1v1 with Juju, but with reinforcements coming from the backside, namely Eels, he's simply going to get cut down, and that's another kill donated over to the Kaiser. 6-0-2, a 600 gold bounty on this jungler.
Yeah, and that was the global presence that we just saw. 1 second they were standing in the river and they looked like they had a good pick there, then all of a sudden, Shen teleports in, Twisted Fate's there, Pantheon's ulting in. It's very hard for Reservoir to be able to make any proactive plays across the map, because as soon as they look like they might have a winning chance, might be able to pick a good fight, take a pick from the enemy, all of a sudden they're outnumbered. And they need to start playing around that, and they're not playing around that at the moment, and they're being punished very heavily every time.
And that's the joy of a global composition. You should never be able to get caught out of position, and in a way, that feels like that's Reservoir's main idea. Their team composition looks a little bit messy, and they're trying to catch people out of position, and then suddenly, as you said, Pantheon Ultimate comes in, Saboteur is in a little bit of trouble. Eels is here in the back pocket. He has his Blood Razor completed of the jungle enhancement, but unfortunately, Bird not able to land the Shadow Dash, not able to try and secure the kills. We see the Destiny being used, the ultimate coming out, the Seismic Shove does connect, the CC coming in, Leon's going to go down here. A beautiful use of the Twisted Fate ultimate secure a kill.
Yeah, they got
Kirk's not done yet. The gold card is a 2 versus 2, but something tells me that Melbourne High School has a bit more damage, especially when Pantheon comes in. The CC coming out, the Seismic Shove, Kirk's going to fall down. You cannot be trying to pick off Melbourne High School members. You don't have the roaming potential.
And we're at 13 minutes into the game. We're up to kill number 19 overall. And it seems like they just won't stop. And why would you? When you've got the ability to rock up anywhere on the map and they've got huge damage, why would they ever stop?
I mean, that's a huge boon for Melbourne High School in their future. If they ever run into a team that does get the lead from... Oh no! Sherlock! That's a little bit on the arrogant side there. Goes down to Zoidal's Nami. But as I was saying, the fact that you're willing to pull the trigger so consistently, the fact that you're so quick to react to plays happening against you is something that teams need to have. And if Melbourne High School takes this game, if Melbourne High School go into the national against every other state, you need teams that are not afraid to pull the trigger even when behind to have a good shot of making it to that grand final at MEO later this year.
And it's not just that Melbourne High School are so willing to go in, they've got so many ways to go in. Normally you look at a team comp and you think, what's our go button? What champion are we looking to start a fight? How are we starting a fight? Who's it going to be? Who's our engage? You look at the who's on the Melbourne High School lineup, every single one of their champions have a go button.
Some of them have... Chat going in with homeostasis, Tom Kench too tanky, but you're right. The one person I'd argue who doesn't have a go button is Eels, because he's playing an AD carry. Like, AD carries don't have go buttons, but on the side of Reservoir, who is that go button? I see Kurg's Ramus, and that's really about it. The rest of them don't have a distinct, this starts the fight button. I'm a little worried that Reservoir falling behind already. They may struggle. They are seeing Kurg now trying to visit the top side. The Shadow Dash gets the Shen out alive, however.
Yeah, and it's not just the go buttons, it's the no buttons. You're saying that the Kaiser doesn't have a go button, she doesn't have that ability to just go in whenever she wants to. But if she's caught out, she's got 4 people that can just rock up to help her out there.
Tom Kench is, you haven't got a tier 1 turret to keep you safe. You need to be playing back.
Yeah, the Tom Kench there is really unfortunate that he's stepped up again. It's not the first time that he's been caught out of position. Again, they're not respecting the amount of presence that Melbourne High School can have on the map. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not going to rock up.
It's like versing a Neverland jungle. You have to think to yourselves, okay, where can they be? Where are they going to be next? Because yeah, as you said, you can't see them, but unfortunately they are most certainly there. As Eels is going in for a 2v2 tower dive. The Shen coming in as well. Tilda coming in the backside. This may give them a numbers advantage temporarily. As Eels going in under the turret, flashing forwards, grabs the kill, and doesn't even go down for it. On the backside, the Shen is getting out alive. Homeostasis will pay the prize, but at least Juju gets out alive without too many issues. Oh my lord, no way. Saboteur, nope, that's not going to work.
Tom Kench is like, I've got a global ultimate too. Just does not get away with that one.
Imagine if they were running like a Tom Kench instead of the Kaiser. That would truly be the ultimate global composition coming out.
Tom Kench jungle?
Tom Kench jungle.
I like
you can make it work. Unfortunately, the Leon's Teemo, it's not working out the way he was really hoping it to do.
No, it's really unfortunate. The Teemo, it was exciting. We saw it drafted and it started out very well. But Teemo kind of looks a bit lost. Leon, not saying that he's not proficient on the champion, but he doesn't quite know what to do. He's trying to set up his shrooms, he's trying to establish lane dominance that Teemo's like, but every time he steps anywhere, he's dead.
He's going down, and part of the reason might be, look at the itemization. He's gone for Blade of the Rune King.
Yeah.
Typically, Teemo's, if they're going for this, oh, I'm going to get my shrooms everywhere sort of style, you need ability power. You need a Liandry's Torment. You need a Nash's Tooth maybe. You need something that does AP damage. Unfortunately, Teemo very far behind his opposite number and not exactly having the impact his team was certainly hoping for game number 2.
Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense why he's going for an AD build when you look at the rest of his team. You've got 2 very tanky CC champions, and you've got the Kaiser. You don't really need the Teemo there for AD damage.
Obviously, might be what Leo is more comfortable with. That's kind of the tale of Reservoir. It's a lot of comfort champions that they must feel happy with. Like the one meta champion I see out of Reservoir is the Tom Kench. Because Tom Kench top right now isn't even in the meta, but we are seeing a skirmish in the jungle, but no one going down just yet. Tom Kench holding the front line. His character is trying to do what he can. The Grey Hell Shield should be popped as the man drop coming in. It is raining men, and the CC coming in as well. Harley's going to get shot. No, the flash actually keeps him out alive. A really good use of the summoner spell there. Oh no, Eels going in, picks up 1 kill. That's another well under his belt. The Destiny coming out as well, and the go button from Melbourne High School has been pushed.
Well, we said that Kaiser didn't have a go button. I guess we were proven wrong.
I mean, the go button for your teammates is a setup, and then Neil's like, all right, oh no, Zoidal! He gets the kill, he dies for it, but that is where you type worth it all chat.
As a support main, I like it. That's what you should do. It's all about kills.
Aggressive plays coming out of this Nami. You might as well grab a couple kills under your belt while you're at it. I just noticed Nami has the most kills out of her entire team.
Actually, I'm going to take it back. Why is Nami built Redemption? She is the carry. I'd like to see a Luden's Echo.
Exactly. Get the damage coming out of this Nami. This should be like a Nash's Tooth or the Nami. I'd love to see something like that because right now, the rest of the team, they're still putting together their first items. Infinity Edge completed for Xayah. The Blade of the Rune King, as we talked about before, coming in for Teemo. And the Jungle Enchantment and Sunfire Cape coming out for the top half of Reservoir High School. Unfortunately, they've all completed about one item. Melbourne High School are basically putting their second items all together, including Sherlock has a 9-stack Medjai's.
We see Eels with 4 completed items, including boots. The Kaiser is 10-0 less than 20 minutes into the game. That's an IE and a Gwynsu's. She hurts.
Oh, she hits like a truck. And the issue is, Eels is only going to get worse. Like, I would love to say, for Reservoir's sake, that Eels is as scary as he's going to get. He's playing a late game hyper carry, so it's only going to get worse from here on. As we are seeing a little bit of an ambush. Zoidal, he places the wards and he knows something's up. He's like, something's fishy here. I don't want to walk into this bush. He's throwing so many wards. Just like, definitely something's wrong here. I gotta go, buddy. And a beautiful CC. Yeah, they're not going to get engaged here. A nice attempt from Melbourne High School, but I like how safe they're playing. But actually, Melbourne High School going all in for the Tom Cage. The Grey Help not popped, and the Catfish falls for the 5th time this game.
Yeah, again, very unfortunate, but very disrespectful. They might just be trying to have a bit of fun here, but they just continue to not respect the global presence. Why is Tom Kench up that far into the lane?
I mean, 15,000 gold at 20 minutes? Yeah, I think you might want to focus having a little bit of fun with this game because it's not going Reservoir's way. And we talked about maybe if they can turtle up, if they can play super defensive and keep their inhibitor line up, fine, they'll be good to go. Unfortunately, with Baron secured and in the favor of Melbourne High School now, I don't know if Reservoir can really hold it on.
Well, they do have that Nami carry. Don't forget about that. They've got the Nami. We're hoping it's going to be an AP item coming up soon. Might be a Zonya's. We've got the cloth there. Apart from that, yeah, they need to just start farming waves and not stepping out like this. Because any second, you can see Pantheon who can just drop in on top of them.
I mean, not just Pantheon, you can throw the Shen ultimate on top of the Pantheon, then you suddenly have, you have Sherlock appearing from the other side riding his wall. It's pretty much glow. Oh, we're seeing it there now. The combo coming in. Oh, they've been completely flanked. This is a cruel pinch. So they realize, wait, I'm not safe here. This is dangerous. The Zion is gone instantly. And this is playing with your food at this point, I feel like. Melbourne High School, they're having a lot of fun. The Rammus is trying to run a beautiful flash, but the CC is simply too much. Kerr gets cut down as well. 2, 5, and 3 on this Rammus. And we got to see the global comp out of Melbourne High School. We saw the man drop, we saw a teleport, we saw everything.
Yeah, and we called it. How can you be that far up the lane with A, no vision, and B, versus a global comp like this? All of their ultimates were up.
Seeing it engaged, Teemo falls down. Sherlock is kind of low, but unfortunately Saboteur not able to get on top of that Talia, and this is going to be Reservoir's base finally getting broken open at 22 minutes.
Yeah, they're going to get an inhibitor, and realistically, they can just rotate on the top here and pick up a second inhibitor. At 22 minutes, 2 inhibitors, and that's really almost GG there. The only plus side you could say for Reservoir is A, they're about to get a whole heap of farm for nothing, and B, there's a lot of shutdown gold available.
There's a lot of shutdown gold across 4 members of Melbourne High School. The only one who doesn't have shutdown is going to be, never mind, the Harley is in a lot of trouble there. The Pantheon not able to get the kill, actually out of mana, which needs to be careful, but Kurg is going to get cut down. Not enough health, not enough armor to stay alive. But yeah, but one person just said, oh my lord, Leon's just going to get torn apart. No, Tom Kench coming for the save. It's not going to be enough, however, he gets cut down. Heals grabs the kill. Salvador has no health. The grey health keeps him alive, but I don't see how Reservoir is even going to walk out of their fountain, yet alone their base.
No, well, they need to clear waves here. They've got super creeps, and they've got Baroned up minions.
Eels? Eels? What are you doing, buddy? That's a shutdown going over to the support carry of Reservoir High.
That's not only does Nami have the most kills, she's also got the least deaths.
Exactly. That is the true epitome of what a carry should be. Most kills, least deaths. You got to be doing well in that case. I really want Zoid to actually deal damage at this point. It would be amazing watching a Nash's Tooth Nami just swinging her staff around, taking everyone out as they run at her. But
Well, she's just sold her cloth armors, so
do it. Oh yes, we're getting
getting it.
Proto Belt hopefully coming out of the Nami. Oh, and they're selling again. Come on, Nash's Tooth. We want the Nash's Tooth Nami. You need to buy no.
Magi's.
Magi's.
An outright
Everyone's just
Magi's.
teasing us at this point. Okay, BF Sword. All right, good. I'm happy with that purchase. As Melbourne High School is grabbing themselves every objective on the map. There's only one inhibitor left, so they're pretty much just going to rotate bottom, take everything off the map, do a full sweep of the map. Is what I assume they're going to be going for. It makes the most sense, and it's the safest option, even if you have a 25 stack on your Talia.
Look, once again though, we're looking at a 20,000 gold lead. 24 minutes into the game, you cannot step out from your Nexus turrets. It's looking really, really grim here for Reservoir. They just simply cannot step up and do anything.
Harley tries to step up and force the flash away almost immediately, too afraid to get caught by anything. The tidal wave coming out, tried by a little bit of space, not going to work. The Nexus turrets are taking a beating, and Saboteur doing his best to clear them out, but one goes down. There's a beautiful taunt coming out of the Birdman, a beautiful seismic shove, and that will be all she wrote. Melbourne High School, dominating from start to finish, will take this series 2-0, eventually taking down the Nexus. They're having some fun, but that's going to be 2-0, and Melbourne High School has the fountain and will take the Victorian Regionals best of 3 series, 2-0 in their favour.
So, 2 very, very dominant games though.
Oh yeah.
Both of them you would say were a bit of a stomp.
Yep.
You'd be very happy if you were from Melbourne High School today. And Reservoir, unfortunately, didn't have a very good day.
They had a bit of a rough game, but in a way, it's expected because Melbourne High School, when you look at last year, Melbourne High School made it through the regional gauntlet. They made it through they were the team that represented, one of the 2 teams, that was at MEO last year for the, not regional, what do you call it, national?
The national
grand final
yes.
of League of Legends. So, in a way, it's expected that Melbourne High School make it their way, and if I was, any of the other states, I would be looking at this grand final and thinking to myself, how the hell are we going to stop this team? They can run traditional. They can run unconventional.
Yes.
What more do you want out of a team? And are we really surprised that the Victorian team is the one that's hopefully going to be getting it all the way?
I think it was very interesting that we saw 2 very different compositions from Melbourne High School. As you said, we saw a very meta comp, and then we saw a very non-meta comp, and both of them worked exceptionally well.
20,000 gold lead, both games.
Yeah.
But
So
that is going to be it, guys. So thank you very much for joining us for the League of Legends Victorian Regionals by Meta. We, of course, love to thank our sponsors, Optus, Intel, Acer, and, of course, Torrens University for hosting this live event. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us in person. Thank you very much for joining us on the stream. And hopefully we're going to see these teams when it comes to it.
Yep. And good luck, Victoria.
Thank you very much, Robin Lyle and Reservoir. Can we please just get the team seated? We're just going to